Hello there everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to do the diagonal wire weave, and this is what it looks like. So I have a section here where I'm only using 2 base wires, the same weave, and then I have a little section here where I'm going to show you how to add in more base wires as well. And you can use as many base wires or as few as you want to, and it gives a really nice looking weave, quite a substantial one, but gives really nice detail in it as well, and a uniform one. So if you want to learn how to do this, then keep watching. So then what I'm just going to be using to demonstrate with is 4 lengths here of my 1mm wire. That's going to be the base wires. And then I'm also using a 0.4mm wire to wrap with. So that's just what I'm going to be demonstrating with. Now what I'm going to do first is take one wire at a time. And first we just want to attach this weaving wire. And the way to do that is I put it behind, leave a little tail to hold on to, and then just wrap it around once of the one base wire there. Now before we wrap again, we want to bring in the next wire, place that above the previous one, just like this, and you have your weaving wire basically coming out in between the two, but down behind it. So we have that one wrap now around the bottom wire on its own. So then what we do is go over around the bottom here and then go over the top of both of them, just like this. And then what you'll find is that little single wrap that we did to begin with, that helps keep the wires, the base wires, separate, so we can still get in between these two. Later on we'll do more wraps, but then also because that's there, you have that little effect where the next wrap that we've just done now, that goes over both of the wires, that becomes kind of diagonal, just like this, because it pulls over at the top, because there's nothing there at the top to stop it, but on the bottom you have that single wrap that kind of stops it. So that's the first diagonal one. We only do this once, and then we go straight up in between the 2 wires, so in between the 2 that you just wrapped around at the front, and then push that down. And then what I'm going to show you first is just how to do this weave around 2 wires, because it can be a really nice weave to use, and I especially like this for ring bands as well. So up in between the 2, and then around the top one on its own. So this is what we have now. So one wrap around the bottom one, once around both of them, and then once around the top one. And that's how you get that kind of diagonal wire in the center that wrapped around both. And then what we just do now to continue the weave is go down behind both of them and basically start from scratch. So go down in between the 2. So I'm only wrapping around the bottom one on its own. Push it all the way down again till it won't go any further. Make sure you push your weave nice and tight. And then I'm coming out in between the 2 towards the back. Again, go down below the bottom one, up and over and around both of them. And again, doing the wrap around both of them is that when we get that diagonal weave. And then once we've done that just the once, we need to come up in between the 2, push that down, and that pushing that down in between also helps push down that diagonal one we just did, and then around the top one once, just like that. And then that's your second go. And you just want to keep doing this, go all the way around both of them, around the back of both of them, and then keep repeating this. So around the bottom one once, around both of them once, and then around the top one once, and down the back. And that's all there is to it. You just continue like this. This weave can make a really nice ring band as well, but it's just a really nice and bit of a different looking weave on its own. So you continue this for a while. I'll do a bit of this and then show you how it looks. So I've now kept wrapping for a bit, doing the exact same thing over and over again, and then we end up with this kind of diagonal looking weave to it. And it gives a really different effect than most other weaves. I really like this one myself. So this is what it's going to look like with just using 2 base wires. What I'm going to do now is continue and show you how to use more base wires as well, because that can give a really nice effect as well. So first off, I want to continue, just start out the same way that I've done with the 2 base wires. So I'm coming all the way around the back towards the bottom of my base wire there, so the very bottom one, and then I need to go around that bottom one once on its own, so down in between the 2 that we have, just like that. and then around the bottom again, and then around over the top of both of them, which is when we'll get that diagonal one, and then straight up in between the two that we just wrapped, and now we come up there. So instead of now wrapping around the top one once, what we need to do is add in our next wire, base wire, and just place that above the rest, so you then have your 1, 2 and now the third base wire. And then basically we just do the exact same thing we just did. We now go above the next 2 base wires, so again you get another diagonal one there, and just as well the same thing again, go up in between the 2 that you just wrapped around, and then that helps push it down as well. And again, take the last one. In my case I'm just using 4. You can do this really with as many base wires as you want to. You just keep adding them in. Place that again on the top above the rest, and then we're coming up in between the 2 we just wrapped. So now we go above, over the next 2, so the one that we're just coming up in between, and then the one that's loose. Go around both of them, and then again up in between the 2 that you just wrapped. Push that down, and then that pushes the whole weave down as well. And now the last one we always want to go through or go around just the once, just like we did with just the 2 base wires. So go back around that once, just like this, and then that's the first full go around all of the base wires here, all 4 that I'm using. So this is where we then just take it around the back of all of the wires. Make sure that on the back it's lying still against the base wires and we're not wrapping accidentally on top of the weaving wire. So it's still nice and flat. Go back down to the beginning and we just start again. So around the base, the first base wire once, just like that. Now around that again, but then including the next one. So around the bottom 2 once, which is the first one of the diagonal ones. Up in between the 2 that you just wrapped. Push that down. Step up once more. So around the next 2. So the 2 middle one in my case. And then again up in between the 2 that you just wrapped. Push that down, which pushes the whole weave down. And then around the top of the top 2, the last 2 in my case, and just around that top one on its own. So up in between the 2 you just wrapped and push that down. And again once more around that just top one on its own. And that's now the second one. And then it's going to be building up like this and give a really nice effect. So again we just take this all the way down the back of the base wires and start again. And that's all there really is to it. So it's the exact same weave as just using 2 base wires. We're just adding in more and then adding more of the diagonal weaves along the way to however many base wires that you have. So this is how you do this weave really. And then once you build up a bit more with the more base wires, it gives a really lovely effect as well. So I've now made a bit more of this section here with the weaving across multiple base wires, just to give you an impression of what it can look like. So as you can see, you get a really nice effect because you have these little diagonal wraps all scattered in between there. So it gives a really nice and uniform effect, but a completely different look than some other weaves can do as well. So that's how you do this weave. You can do however many base wires you want and get completely different looks. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this Aztec wire weave, and it looks like this. So it's a really nice and decorative weave that's pretty simple to do once you know the technique. You get these little triangles or pyramids going all the way across. So if you want to learn how to make this weave, then stay tuned. So to make this weave, what we'll need first of all is our base wires, and in this case I'm working with 4 lengths and they're all 1 mil in thickness. Now you can easily work with